And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the KungFu Cup, round number 5. Of course, from WTL 2023 Winter. I'm, of course, your live VIP, and with me, I'm joined by the lovely people in the chat and these lovely 2 players as well, as we have our first best of 3. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have our South Korean Zerg player representing himself. He's currently teamless. It is DRG. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem. Here we go again. It's that time of the week. Where we have plenty of StarCraft ahead of us. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to link to the bracket yourselves. It's a massive bracket. There's so much going on. So many matches to choose between. We were caught between 2, whether it's this one or we were also looking at Solar versus Mana as well. But Solar is MIA, so we did end up jumping on Harstem versus DRG. I think we had a couple of other casters join us. I think Wardy jumped on as well. Ideally, we're able to split up, and ideally, we're able to cover a couple of extra matches. We'll see where he goes after this. We'll see where we go after this as well. As so far, we're getting into our openers, and so far, everything is looking as it should. Again, we are loading into Oceanborn, and there's a bit of history between Harstem and DRG. Again, if you guys were tuning into the CranKy Ducklings during the B stream or a side stream of DreamHack Young Shipping of ESL Master Summer, we casted these 2 live at the event. Well, we weren't at the event, but we casted it live, and they were there in Sweden. And Harstem was able to cause a massive upset. Harstem, he was popping off, Pop. He was crazy. And a big reason for that is because, or we attributed it at least, to a unique playstyle that he had. Harstem, he was being very greedy at times, and DRG was having a hard time punishing him. It's a story that we've told before where the South Korean Zerg players were having a really hard time kind of adapting to Harstem, and then when Harstem went up against Lambert just completely shut him down, and it looked like Lambert was a lot more familiar with the openers and playstyle of Harstem. The Korean Zergs not so much, and here we go. We have a Twilight Council opener, so already we're spicing things up here. Harstem looking to go for either something along the lines of a Glaive Adept opener, something like DTs. We have pulled out of gas, but we've pulled a little bit extra out of gas, which is interesting to me here. I'm still feeling Glaives, but it could be something crazy like Charge, for example. Meanwhile, back at home, Hatch Gas Pool, 3rd base is being taken. Everything is looking as it should from DRG. He is just droning to his heart's content. We have that Gateway Explosion, 4 gates in total. And where is that upgrade? We are waiting for it here from Harstem. We'll see what he decides to go for. For now, DRG, he's cutting workers at 22. He's link flooding. It is going to be a Glaive all-in. There we go. It's going to be a Glaive Adept opener. It's going to be 4-gate Glaive Adept. But before we can talk about the Glaives, DRG is hitting first. Oh, he's pulling the boys. This could be a short one. Ay, here we go. Title. Oh god, title not okay. I'll get on it. As we do have the Lings gonna be flooding on forward here. The drones, they get us around. They do end up going past. They do end up getting past the wall here, all the way in towards that Adept. Not just the Adept, but also on top of the pylon as well. And Harstem, he does not have much left here. He is going for a warp in of Adepts, and that will help, don't get me wrong. Actually, we don't go for the pylon at all. We go for the mineral line, and every single worker is going to be going down. There are 4 Adepts remaining, 3 Adepts remaining. They're going to trade well. They're going to trade efficiently. But that pylon is getting lower and lower. We do not have a warp in available yet. Okay, we can go for the warp in soon. We go for it into the main base. The pylon will fall. And 4 more Adepts. That is all we're going to have for quite some time. The Lings, they just keep on coming. They keep on coming, Papi. Ay. And there it is. 2 more Adepts go down. We're down to 2 Adepts remaining. The boys are pulled once again. And Harstem's going to be able to hold on to his main base. But we have more Lings just flooding into the natural. And DRG, he's done it. He's caught Harstem with his pants down. He had no idea what was going on. He didn't scout. He didn't move out with his own Adepts. And he gets surrounded. No. He gets surrounded once again. 2 more Adepts go down. Did I say 2? I meant to say every Adept goes down. GG gets called, and DRG will take game number 1. GG. And yeah, it's gonna be a short series. Oh god. Not like this. As DRG, before Harstem could even get into his build, before he could even get into the swing of things, Harstem did not move out with his first 2 Adepts. He kept them at home. He was, again, I'm most likely banking them up. He was most likely banking up those adepts instead, and as a result, he had very limited scanning information. I will sort out the camera. It's all good. It's all good. There we go. Oh, for the most part, I'll fix that. But alas, we did see that. Again, Harstem, he wasn't really moving out with his first two adepts, which meant that he wasn't able to scout his opponent. He wasn't able to recognize what was going on, how many drones there were, the lack of saturation at the natural base. Harstem took things for granted, and as a result, he was punished very hard for it. Very hard indeed. Now, my food may have just arrived, so as soon as we get to the loading screen, I'm going to quickly check outside to see if it's actually there. Un momento. Then we can dive right into game 2. Let's go, the food's here. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have our South Korean Zerg player. Leading the series 1-0, it is DRG. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Zerg player representing Shopify Rebellion down in the series, but looking to fight back. It is Harstem. Here we go. Here we go, and hopefully this time we get to sink our teeth a little bit more into this best of series or into these players. Again, game 1 was over before it fully began, as Harstem unfortunately again was lacking a lot of scouting information, was not aware as to what DRG was up to. And on a map like Oceanborn, that does make a lot of sense. Again, the rush distance by ground is relatively short, and yeah, just bam. DRG was able to hit him in the end with that all-in, and now, for now, we're getting into some standard openers. It's going to be a hatch gas pool. It's going to be a gate expand into a cybercore here from Harstem. Getting into his standard opener. Now, we are on Alkione, and this is a map that has a longer rush distance, and we can set up defensively a little bit better here on 3 bases. I expect a much more standard opener this time out of Harstem. By a standard opener, I mean a Stargate opener into Oracles. It's what I expect. Stop poking me. Let's go. As we have our probe, we're going to be moving back. Just going to be confirming that, of course, the bases have been taken. There is that Stargate on the way. Again, what we expected more of here in game number 2. Harstem is going for a Stargate opener, thankfully, and should be working towards Oracles. Likewise, this time, the first Adept is moving out. And again, this is something that did not occur in the previous game, so Harstem he's being a lot more attentive when it comes to his opener, when it comes to scouting, when it comes to figuring out what DRG is capable of. And clearly, DRG has shown that he's not just a standard Zerg player, right? He's willing to go all in, willing to be aggressive if you let him. So Harstem is more on notice, and he is just going to make sure that DRG is on the up and up. As the Adept is just going to be checking the saturation here at the natural base. And of course, Harstem, alongside ourselves, confirm that we are joining. The Lings are on the way here to try to punish the eventual third base. Third base is going to be thrown down. Harstem does race back home with his first Adept, just to make sure that this gets up and running. And yo, that's actually a lot of Lings. A lot of Lings are going to be moving out across the map here. And Harstem, can he hold on to his third as the Oracle is moving out? It's making a beeline across the map. Meanwhile, the Lings, they have been spotted. At least some of them have, but only a handful. Harstem, he hasn't seen all of them, and the Lings, they will soon arrive. Third base gets thrown down. The Lings are here to just shut it down. Oh, and Oh, that was a kill, not a cancel from Harstem. He was not looking. He was focusing on his Oracle. He gets 3 worker kills across the map, but he loses an entire base. That's 400 minerals down the drain. The pylon is being focus fired as well. Will fall. And from here, DRG can drone. From here, he is droning. He has done more than enough damage. He was looking for a cancel, and he got a kill, by the way. That should not have happened, and Harstem having a rough start here to game number 2. Means they get another probe. They delay the third base once again. The Oracles are forced to spend their energy back home. We have a third Oracle on the way. And from here again, the DRG, he's just saturating his bases. We have 2 queens here at the third base location. We have more than enough queens here in the main. Spores are being thrown down. DRG, he's aware that the Oracle harass is soon to be upon him, and he has to take it seriously. He is ahead. Can he maintain his lead, though? As Harstem has a lot of firepower in these Oracles. Does have a lot of firepower available. Behind this, he's going for his transition. Twilight Council with additional gateways. This is looking like, I think this is going to be, if this was any other player, I would say Glaive Adepts into a Glaive Adept push. But because it's Harstem, I think it's going to be Blink. He has been known to go for these Blink follow-ups here with that +1. And there it is. Blink is on the way. This could lead into an 8-gate 3-base all-in. We'll keep an eye on Harstem, and we'll see if he does end up throwing down a Forge. Again, this is very unique to Harstem, where he's willing to get faster Blink and delay his Forge and delay his +1, but still get it as, oh, we do get a Stasis Trap in the third base. Very nicely done. Solid Stasis Trap here. The Oracles, they haven't killed much, but we have disrupted mining here. So that is the first step to recovery for Harstem. We do need to bring it all back, and it is the beginning. Meanwhile, we're going to be saturating our third bases. Gases are being taken. DRG is going Ling Hydra, which will work very well against a Stalker-heavy composition. Yeah, Ling Hydra has risen in popularity in recent times because of the new patch, because of the recent changes to the Hydras, to the upgrades. On top of that, Ling Hydra does do quite well against a Stalker-based composition. Speaking of Stalkers that are moving out, there is that Forge, so it's just a delayed Forge here from Harstem. Again, this is something that he does specifically, unique to Harstem. Very stylistic thing with him, so he's not going all in, but it does mean that his upgrades are delayed. As most Protoss players, they get their Forge alongside their Twilight Council, and they hit their timings a little bit crisper. Stalkers are going to force the Lings back. Just vying for control of the creep here, and Tumors are being focused down. Most of them, not all of them. Behind this, the Hydras are on the way. Fourth base is being taken. DRG going to be expanding here towards the right-hand side. And we'll see if Harstem can do the same, as for the time being he's still stuck on 3 bases, building up his Stalker count. But DRG, he's working towards one big push. He's cutting workers at 66. He should have been trying to saturate his 4th by now, but no, instead he's just hyperfixated on army production. He's going for one big Ling Hydra push. No, the Lings take it in. Some of them do. Handful of Lings do bust into the natural base. They don't get much done, just some lost mining time. But again, DRG, he has not droned up at all. 3-base saturation is all he has. And here it is. Here comes that move out now. What do we have at home to defend? We have 1 shield battery, 1 cannon. Storm just started. Storm is not ready for this. Uh-oh. Storm is not ready for this push. High Templar, they're forced to morph into Archons. And if Harstem can buy some time, if he can buy enough time for Storm to finish up, then maybe he can hold. But without Storm, here comes the army. We have a last-second Stasis Trap going up. It does catch some Lings. But they will not finish up. Sorry, that was a second shield battery. We'll have an overcharge. There's one Stasis Trap. It gets baited. It does get baited, and DRG is working towards that mineral line. So far, though, he lost all his Lings. Harstem, he's trading well. Nice bait once again from DRG. Harstem has been trading well, but we have reinforcements, and DRG, he collapses on this army. Storm is about to finish in a couple of seconds. 2, 1, up! There are the Storms. Just in time, and Harstem will hold. And That was pretty intense. If at any moment, if DRG had slipped into a mineral line, if workers have gone down, if Bailings had gone in, that would have been it. But Harstem is holding. A couple of Stalkers get shaved off. And DRG is now in a rough position. This droning is delayed. This is delayed droning at the 4th base, a delayed infestation pit, delayed hive, delayed upgrades. DRG's on 0-0, by the way. He's just now getting his first Evo chamber. DRG was all in, and he didn't trade well enough. He traded with the army. He didn't touch the economy. And as a result, Harstem's ahead. Harstem, he's ahead economically. He's now working on +2, charge. He has storm. He has splash damage. You could argue that he can be working towards Robotics Bay and Colossus, and that, or Disruptors even. That's something that he will be thinking about soon. But for now, Harstem, he's in a good position. Now, DRG, he is racing into Lurker Tech. Even before upgrades, even before +1, Lurker Den is on the way. This is how DRG survives. This is how he survives, this is how he comes back. Is just get into Lurkers as quickly as possible, and then with the bare minimum, defend long enough to be able to max out. So DRG, he knows like what he needs to do. Lurker Den is done. Hive is on the way. Lurker upgrades soon to be on the horizon as well. And yeah, DRG, he's on the road to recovery. Meanwhile, Harstem, he hasn't scouted. This is when I have to be a little bit critical of Harstem. If he had scouted, instead of throwing down a second forge, and instead of working towards Robotics Bay, which we still don't know if he has, we could be seeing a Skytoss transition instead. Now, before I can talk about Skytoss, Harstem is pushing, which I think is a good thing. Very good thing. Harstem is pushing, he sees the Hydra army. He should know that this army is very vulnerable, and without Lurkers, DRG is going to have a hard time holding. So the sooner we push out, the better. If we don't push, then we need to start thinking about Skytoss. Otherwise, Harstem is going to be stuck with a ground toss army against Lunkers, and that window is closing. Harstem, he's posturing. He's now moving out. He's on 80 workers. He's taking a gold base. Like he's in a good position economically. He's rotating around. But I think we've reached that point where the window's closed. 6 lurkers. They're on the way. We had a window. I feel like we've missed it. And there, yeah, second robo. It looks like Harstem is doubling down on ground toss. But a big reason for this, I think, is because he doesn't know about the lurkers until now. Now he knows. Now he is aware, and hopefully we don't try to force our way up the ramp. Oh no, the Knight Templar! One Knight Templar goes down immediately. We do get on top of some of these lurkers, and we still have 14 on the way, but they're not ready. They are going to be cancelled. The Zealots, they do come in. We have Zealots in the natural. We have a warp in here on the right-hand side, and the main army is pushing through. Those lurkers, they weren't done in time. The 14 lurkers, I mean. And Harstem, he's doing it. I was worried that he was waiting too long. He catches another lurker. He's killed 8 lurkers. 8 workers now pushing in towards that 4th base. He's getting on top of the lurkers here of DRG. The storms are real. The storms are good. And he will take down the 4th. Behind this, Fleet Beacon, a +1. Harstem is working towards Skytoss, just in case. But he's already done more than enough damage. He's crippled the economy. And he's killed the 5th and now the 4th base. GG gets called. Whew. And Harstem takes game number 2. We have a series. We have a series. I was really concerned that we had waited too long, and if you remember, there were 14 lurkers in production towards the end there, and if they had finished, I do think that it would have been too late, but they were cancelled. DRG was forced back. They weren't done in time, and as a result, we have an ace match. We have a game 3. And it is going to be on Site Delta. Here we go. It all ends here. All ends here as we are going to be getting into that 3rd game. And personally, again, I'm excited. Like, we have seen Harstem beat and defeat DRG before, and hey, he's working his way there again. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player being forced into the ace match. It is DRG. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Red Protoss representing Shopify Rebellion, tying up the series 1-1 at the last game. It is Harstem. Oh, and I think we may remake. Oh, that's fine. DRG said it's okay. So for those on it, it's meant to be West Central West. Harstem. Letting him know it's okay. And we'll see if we commit. It looks like we're committing. Yeah, it's okay. Shout out to DRG. Gonna be playing on a ping deficit here, or at a ping disadvantage in game number 3. Whereas otherwise he could have taken a ping advantage instead. And we'll see how things do differ here. We'll see what kind of openers we go for. We've seen DRG go for different forms of all-in. In game 1, it was a 1-base all-in, essentially, with very few workers. Game 2, it was a 3-base all-in, 66 drones, Ling Hydra, nothing but Ling Hydra. I'll be honest, I've seen a lot of 3-base all-ins fail on Alkione. I'm never convinced by them. I'm never convinced by it. It's just, I've seen it fail too often. I'm sure it succeeds. It just not when I'm casting. Feels bad, man. And Side Delta wouldn't be a bad map for a longer macro game. But I wonder if that's what DRG really wants out of this. Typing skill. Look, I can't type messages in the middle of a game. That's not happening. Yeah, it's gonna be a hatch gas pool here out of our blue Zerg player. Likewise, out of our red Protoss, just a gate expand into a Cybercore. Yet to determine what tech we're going for. Not yet. It's looking kind of like a Twilight Council setup, but nah. Here, further out, it is going to be a Stargate. Stargate opener here from Harstem. Should be for Oracles, should be for a third base, should be for a relatively standard opener. Now, I wonder if Harstem is going to go for his third Nexus before Oracle. It's something that he has done before. It's something that he's known for. But against an aggressive player like DRG, it's a risky thing to do. The probe does scout, does check the saturation at this third base. Likewise, Adept is moving out as well. Fool me once. Harstem doesn't want to be fooled again. As he does get eyes on the fact that we are droning our third thing, looking as it should. And the DRG pulls out a gas, just saturating his bases. Everything is looking normal from our blue Zerg. Likewise, Harstem. So looking normal here as well. The kind of big moment of divergence is going to be what happens after this Oracle, after this third base gets thrown down for Harstem. In the last game, we saw him go into Blink, eventually into Storm as well, with a delayed upgrade or with delayed +1. We'll see if he does the same. We can always go into Glaive Adept, so we can go for a more robo-heavy composition instead. We can start working towards early Colossi or early Disruptors. Something more passive. I don't know if Harstem's really that kind of player there. We have seen Harstem try to rush into Skytoss. That has happened on this channel before. At my dismay. Let's see if we get that sort of thing again. But now DRG, again, just droning. First Oracle arrives. Going to be dipping in between the bases, heading towards the main. Really, it's just dragging the queens out of position, but the Spore is done at the third base. Speaking of, Oracle is making its way towards that third. No queens. Which means we can get a couple of worker kills. Oh, get one. Oh, just one, though, as that's a lot of hull damage here for Harstem. And a little bit too greedy, a little bit cavalier. Behind this, Twilight Council with 2 more gateways. Again, if this was any other player, I would say this is Glaives. Because it's Harstem, it could be just Blink. Blink instead. It's Harstem moving out with the rest of his adepts as well. Again, he's looking to get some worker kills We have 2 Oracles making their way towards the main. You have Adepts looking to threaten the shade in towards the 3rd or even the natural. The Adepts will not commit. And the Oracles, they come in once again. Only 1 Queen in position. We can get a couple of drones. Oh, we get 1. We get 2. 2 workers go down. There is a Spore here at the natural. Not in the main, but at the natural. And we get a 3rd worker. And there it is. It is going to be Blink here. So this is the exact same opener that Harstem went for in the last game. In game number 1. Sorry, in game number 2. Same setup so far, which means he's going for a saturated 3rd. This led into Storm, if you remember. And it led into a delayed Forge and delayed +1. But a higher Stalker count early on. Once again, DRG, he's working on a Hydra then, so it's going to be Ling Hydra. This time there is an earlier Evo chamber there, so he's going to be building up his upgrades. If you remember, last game it was just a 0-0 Ling Hydra Bane all-in. Off of 3 bases. Oh, and the 4th is taking a lot of hits. The 4th base under a lot of damage here, and it should be... there we go, it's going to be cancelled. DRG having a rough start here. We have a couple of Hydras on the way, +1 range on the way as well. DRG going to be stopping saturation here at 65 workers. 3 base saturation. So far, he is able to force Harstem back. He even baits out the Pulsar Beam. But where is that 4th? It's now being thrown down. Very late 4th, but we're droning. We have an Infestation Bit on the way. Okay, so DRG, he is macroing. He isn't going to be cutting workers suddenly and just making nothing but army. It's getting into a longer game. Yo, we're getting into the mid-game. It's happening. There it is. Lurker Den, Infestation Pit. We are taking very hard. Likewise, so is Harstem, with Storm, with Charge, with +1, and a Robo as well. Now, what I will say is that Harstem has a window available. The way that he's playing and the way that he's teching, this does hit faster than... than Colossus. So when you go into a Colossus timing, it's going to be double Robo, and you're going to be hitting with 4 Colossus. Here, Storm finishes up a lot faster, so Harstem can actually try to hit DRG with his pants down a little bit, because DRG, he's in the middle of droning, he's saturating his 4th, he's taking up. He's not spending as much of his money on his army, so we could try to move out, but Harstem, he's just going to be chilling back at home, and he's getting a 4th. So he is taking a much more defensive posture here, back at home. And DRG is taking advantage of it. DRG, he's pushing out, yes, but he's really posturing. He gets an Oracle, but he's not committing. He doesn't really intend to commit. He's got a Hive on the way. Oh, he's going to be losing some Hydras. Zealot Runby is going to be coming in. But again, DRG is working on his Hive. He's going to be getting these Lurker upgrades as well. As he gets forced back, here comes Harstem though. This time with Storm. At least 4 Storms. And there's the first. A juicy connection on those Hydras already. Oh my god. DRG has to be very careful chasing this. He's getting himself the High Templar. 2 of them go down. Only 2 are left. And DRG, he will survive. And as he forces Harstem back, now we have Lurkers on the way. 7 Lurkers in production. Lurker upgrades. Again, we're droning, we're saturating. There's a Zealot Runway being set up towards this 4th base. DRG could do with a 5th. But again, he's just been puffing up his chest this entire time. Was never really intending to attack until now. Now he has his Lurkers. Now the Revelation does get eyes on this. So Harstem now knows, and he has to make a tough decision. Where does he go from here? 2nd Robo. He can get into Immortal production. Zealot Runby is going to force a cancel on the 5th. Okay, looks like, yeah, 2nd Robo for just Immortal production. Immortals, they do well against Lurkers if they can close the distance. They do a surprising amount of damage to Lurkers, and I imagine this is going to be a stepping stone. Harstem should be working on a Fleet Beacon soon as well. But we'll see. Go DRG pushing towards that third base. There is static defense, but the army's out of position. Harstem trying to come in from behind, but the lurkers, oh god, they're just so oppressive here at the third base. Harstem getting some decent storms. Does reveal the army. He has detection available as well. But as this fight is going on, good storms, by the way, he does get on top of two of those lurkers. The Nexus itself is going to go down. Yeah, DRG just distracting the main army. The Nexus taking a lot of hits. And yeah, GG gets called. It's far too much. DRG out trading the army and getting on top of the base. And he will take the series at 2-1. GG. Again, DRG kind of turning the tables on Harstem there, doing what Harstem was doing in game 2 essentially, where DRG, he was just rushing ahead in tech, and he was vulnerable at the time. He was very vulnerable because he was just investing so much in his tech and his economy, in his bases, and Harstem didn't quite manage to punish him for it. DRG got into his lurkers, and Harstem, he was the one who was stuck, you know, with his pants down a little bit more instead. GG. GG, well played. DRG will eliminate Harstem from the tournament and advances on to face off against his next opponent, to face off against Kior. That's where we're headed next. Oh my god, we got a lot of updates. We have a lot of updates available. I wasn't expecting this, but exclamation mark B.